Book 10, The Ghost Next Door. The book opens in a dream sequence in which Hannah, the main character, is caught inside her home while it's on fire. Remember this. It comes into play later. Hannah meets a boy named Danny, who apparently has lived next to her for quite a while, even though Hannah is certain that the house has been empty. Did he just move in? If so, how did it pass by her notice? Moreover, it turns out that Danny is not only in the same grade as Hannah, but also goes to the same school, and yet neither of them know the same kids. How is this possible? I'm not sure how big their class is, but at the elementary school I went to, we only had 30 kids or so in our class. So the idea of my meeting a kid who was apparently in the same class as me that I've never heard of is unthinkable. And to be naming off kids neither of us know? Yeah, my bullshit detector was off the charts in this one. Remember what I said about the characters in these books being dumb as shit? Well, it turns out Hannah isn't so dumb after all, as she suspects, pretty early on, at around page 35 or so, that Danny is a ghost. Or is he? One day outside while they're both playing soccer, Danny's hands go straight through Hannah, and she realizes she's the dead one after all. Talk about a twist. So yeah, Hannah's dead, and has been for 5 years, but it seems she hasn't moved on in order to save Danny from dying in a similar way as she did. Remember that house fire Hannah dreamed? It's never explained why Hannah has to save Danny, but at 10 books in, logic was thrown out the window a long time ago. Just enjoy yourself and have fun. Number 11, The Haunted Mask. The Haunted Mask was one of my favorite books as a kid. I actually read the second one first and quickly grabbed this book right after. And oh, look at that, I get a free Halloween mask. Well, looks like I already cut it out. Oh well. Anyway, the book centers around a girl named Carly Beth who is easy to scare, much to the delight of her sadistic friends Chuck and Steve. Incidentally, it's Halloween soon, and Carly wants revenge on Chuck and Steve and vows to buy a scary costume. But wait, turns out her artistic mother has already taken care of that for her. Well, not quite. She made Carly a duck costume, which at the time Carly had thought would have been funny to wear as a joke. Yeah, I'm sure that would have went over well. Her mom also made this weird plaster of Paris mask out of Carly's face that's surprisingly lifelike. More on that later. So Carly goes to a new mask shop and buys this demonic mask that you see on the cover. This mask apparently has mystical qualities that begin to change Carly's personality. She goes home, scares the fuck out of her brother. I mean, look at that fucking shit. Then what does she do? She breaks off a broom handle, grabs the plaster of Paris mask which she fits the broom handle inside of, and goes out for trick-or-treating. So here's this 12-year-old girl walking around her neighborhood in a demon mask and holding what looks like a severed head on a pike like she's a fucking maniac. Chuck and Steve really have a lot to answer for. So the mask warps her further, and the plaster of Paris head starts talking in Carly's voice while her own voice sounds deep and, well, demonic. When her behavior really starts to get out of control after she eventually gets her revenge on Chuck and Steve, frightened, she goes back to the shop owner, who says she can only remove the mask, which is fused to her by this point, with a symbol of love. This symbol turns out to be the plaster of Paris head, so she puts it on over the demon mask and voila, she can take it off. I still love this book. I've always found it amusing whenever I think of Carly Beth walking around her neighborhood with the mask on and the head on a pike in her hands, and the idea of a mask taking over your soul really creeped me out. Great read. Number 12, Be Careful What You Wish For. This book is pretty standard fare in that it deals with a bit of mythology we're all familiar with, the crystal ball. The story focuses on Samantha Bird for short. She is tall and clumsy, and for this, she is the subject of ridicule and harassment from her classmates, specifically a girl named Judith. This constant bullying has built up a lot of anger in Sam, and at one point she even tries to strangle Judith. So one day riding home from school, Sam meets a woman named Clarissa. No, not that Clarissa, but a woman who appears to be lost, and asks for Sam to walk her home, which ends up being on the other side of town. Sam reluctantly does so, to which Clarissa repays her by offering her 3 wishes. Not thinking anything of it, Sam belts out her first one, which is to be the strongest player on her basketball team. Well, this comes true, but instead of making her stronger, the other players get weaker, thereby making her the strongest by default. Sam understandably feels guilty about this and goes to see Judith to see how she's been doing, as she and the rest of the team have been missing school. Well, turns out Judith is onto her and calls Sam a witch, as she is the only one not affected. Sam angrily storms out and wishes for her to disappear. Wrong move, as Clarissa appears right behind Sam and grants it, which has the unfortunate side effect of making not only Judith disappear, but everyone. Despondent, Sam wonders how she'll take care of herself being the last human on Earth when she is once again greeted by Clarissa, who tells Sam to think carefully about that last wish. So she wishes for everything to go back to normal, but with one caveat. Judith needs to think of Sam as the greatest person in the whole world. This ends predictably as Sam gets annoyed with Judith, who begins stalking her when, surprise surprise, Clarissa shows up again and grants Sam a bonus fourth wish because she doesn't want Sam to be unhappy. So Sam wishes that she had never met Clarissa, and that Judith had met her instead. Yeah, that'll show that mean old Judith. It'll ruin her life now. Yeah, right. Well, Sam turns to walk away and suddenly gets real hungry. Yeah, that worm might be nice. Then Sam flaps her wings and flies away. Turns out Judith already made her first wish. The end. I couldn't help but laugh as I imagined Sam flapping her arms and taking off. As I said, predictable story, but I got a few good laughs out of it. And oh yeah, I found that haunted mask.